Hello everyone, welcome to the Late Winner Show. I have Felipe and Dima from the as a Bayern Munich and a Dynamo Kyiv fan. Today, obviously, that being said, we are going to cover our Group E preview for the Champions League. We continue our Champions League previews on the Late Winner Show podcast. Welcome, Felipe and Dima. How are you guys doing? Excited about the Champions League?
Definitely excited. The international break really flew by. But yes, I'm excited for the Champions League. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Hi, Dima. Thank you for the invitation. Yes, I'm very excited too. Bayern just won a very important match in the league, so I believe that we're ready to face Barcelona on Tuesday.
Create another havoc of 8-2. Are we thinking that?
Well, I don't think that we're going to win by the same margin that we won on 2020, but I do believe that we have the team to win in Barcelona.
Awesome. That's great. Before we begin, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Late Winner Show. To follow us on Instagram, Twitter for any kind of football news, any updates that are happening on the channel. We'll definitely get it up there. And yeah, let's begin. We have Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Benfica, and Dynamo Kyiv in this Group E. Obviously, I'm guessing Barcelona and Bayern Munich are the two favorites from progressing to this UEFA Champions League knockout stage. Although Benfica and Dynamo Kyiv should fight for a third place and the Europa League as well. We all know the mess that Barcelona are in, and the turbulences that have struck over there. It wouldn't be surprising if I saw some really odd results for Barcelona as well. But that being said, let's start with Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich obviously brought a lot of the best players from their biggest rival last season, which was RB Leipzig. They landed the center back 𝗕𝗏𝗏. They landed the midfielder 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗏 just recently, and obviously they got their head coach Julian Nagelsmann after Hansi Flick had moved to the German national team. Other than that, the team is more or less pretty much the same compared to the last season. Their ambitions are the same: to win the Champions League, win the domestic leagues, and we won't get into the details too much, but their style of play is has been pretty much constant for the decade. They play a really good high line, they attack, and they score goals really for fun. We obviously have Barcelona in the group, and they had dismantled them. That's where Messi saga began, and obviously he didn't leave at that time, but he has moved to the Parisians this year. They will humiliate the opponents. They will do the constant attack, and they have the team for it. What are we thinking in terms of Bayern Munich's ambitions, and what are we thinking Bayern Munich can offer in this season's Champions League?
Well, I believe that the most important thing that Bayern are looking for this season is to have a much more stable defense. Last season, it was one of the worst seasons in the last 20 years in terms of goals against. And that was one of the main reasons why we were eliminated against Paris Saint-Germain. Also, the fact that Lewandowski was injured played a big role on that elimination, because nobody stepped up and scored the goals that we created, because we honestly created a lot of chances, especially in the first match, and the result wasn't what we expected. Having said that, what I have seen from Nagelsmann this season is a much more compact defense. We saw that yesterday against Leipzig. Leipzig is probably the second or third biggest team in Germany in terms of quality right now, not in history, of course, but in quality. Probably third after Borussia Dortmund. And they were able to generate the first shot on goal after 30 minutes, which is a very big improvement if you compare that to last season. Last season, just as a reminder, we ended up 3-3 in our own house against Leipzig. It was a beautiful match for the neutral fan, but it was a very awkward match for us Bayern fans, and probably for Leipzig fans as well. So I'm hoping for this year for our defense to be better and for our offensive to keep on going the same way that we've been going in the last couple of years.
Are we thinking that they are the favorites to win the Champions League this season? Or obviously I've done the podcast before with the PSG fans, and they're pretty confident in saying that they are going to be the champions this year. Are we thinking that Bayern Munich have that team to go all the way this season again?
Well, I've never thought about the Champions League that way, in terms of, starting the season and saying that my team is going to be the champion. I always take it one step at a time, because if you analyze all of the seasons that Bayern has reached the Champions League final, we weren't the favorites when it started, and it all depends on the momentum that you have. One injury can change everything. Last year we were supposed to be the favorites, and the injury of Lewandowski really hit us hard. And I don't know, maybe if Lewandowski stays fit all of this season and we have our key players fit, yes, we can contend. But I can honestly say that there's a lot of teams that can contend as well. Paris Saint-Germain might be one. Manchester City might be one. You never know with Manchester United with their new players. Barcelona and Real Madrid might not have the same squad that they had years before, but they are still big teams, and especially Real Madrid, that has a history with this competition. So, yeah, we're amongst the favorites. I don't believe that we are the favorite. But if we manage to qualify into the next round and then the quarterfinals and so on, depending on the momentum that we have, and hopefully the injury list is not that big, because that's a problem that we have had in the last couple of seasons, then yeah, we can progress, and I can see us winning it. But like I said, one step at a time.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's well put for Bayern Munich and their ambitions on the Champions League. Let's shift our focus to the other team, Dynamo Kyiv, who is in the group. And I personally don't watch a lot of Ukrainian football, but that's why I have Dima on the podcast, and I'm sure he will be able to tell us a lot more about Dynamo Kyiv. Just to start on Kyiv, the Ukrainian champs have really good, incredible youngsters who are in the notebooks of many big teams. Ukraine is a team, or is a nation that is producing a lot of good talented players more than ever. Some of them have also been part of the under 20 team that won the World Cup 2 years ago. And forgive me, Dima, if I'm pronouncing their names incorrectly, but 𝗕𝗲𝗕𝗏, 𝗕𝗲𝗃, Shaparenko all have a chance to show their potential and make some big transfers that benefit the club as well, because obviously we know that there's not a lot of money invested into the Ukrainian football. I got a chance to watch some of their games just to prepare for this podcast, and I felt like they play really good fast football, many goals. They have many goals in their team, especially when they play at home, and they don't really kind of respect anyone. They just go all out and destroy the opponents. Even though their lineup, as we say, is very young than the average one in the competition, they have a really good, substantial experience in the team, because a lot of players are playing on the international stage, and also for the Ukrainian national team. What do you think? Obviously, I mentioned about Barcelona. We're going to cover that in a bit. But Barcelona are definitely in a turmoil. Like, they don't have the players, or they don't have the squad. I felt like even the manager is not even there for them, who can make sure that they reach the heights that they're expected to. What are we thinking for Dynamo Kyiv? Are they the ones that can cause some kind of upsets to the Bavarian giants or the Catalan giants?
Well, first of all, Felipe was saying he can see Bayern Munich winning the Champions League. Unfortunately for my team, to put it lightly, I can't see us winning the Champions League. I don't think our squad is quite that level, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, you're right about the way we play. We do win. Well, we win most of our games in Ukraine, but you have to take into account is that the Ukrainian Premier League and the Champions League, the level is pretty different, pretty drastic gap between the two. Unfortunately, I have to say, a few years ago we had lots of quality players in our league, and you could even say the Ukrainian Premier League. It was good practice. We had good teams in there that prepared each other for Europe. Nowadays, we don't have that. So we have to mostly rely on, our manager's experience. We have, in case anyone doesn't know, we have Romanian manager. I believe he's the oldest in the world, 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗓, who has, he's countless experience in Europe and just experience overall. Like you mentioned already, we have a young squad. The vast majority of the youngsters. We had 𝗕𝗲𝗹𝗹, you mentioned. He has played in the Champions League before, prior to last season. That was our return to the Champions League for the first time since 16-17. But yeah, the objective here would be try our best to get third place against Benfica. Benfica have a good squad. They have a better squad than us. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it how it is. But they have shown that sometimes, against weaker sides in the Portuguese league, they are capable of, dropping points and being a bit shaky. So it just depends on the Benfica that turns up on the day. You can say the same for Barcelona. They've been, like you said, they've had turmoil recently. So they're pretty capable of dropping points. I mean, I remember last season at the away at Barcelona, we were very unlucky to only score one goal. We lost the game 2-1, but it was a game that could have ended 6-5. Maybe it was deserved for them, but we showed that we can attack against big teams. I'm expecting us to, not going to lie, mostly sit back and absorb the pressure against the other teams and try to hit them on the counter. We've got fast players down the wings. 𝗕𝗲𝗹𝗹, of course, for one. 𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏 on the left wing, at left back, has got some pace. We've got fast defenders on the right who don't play as much. But we've got a new player called 𝗕𝗏𝗏𝗧𝗏, just brought in from Brazil. So this can be, a chance to showcase what he can do as well. But also you brought up a great point about, all the young players. It could end up, if they show themselves well against, big teams like Benfica, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, this could get them a move, could get us some money, and we could, reinvest that money. I mean, our owner, I won't get too much into him, but he's not the smartest, so maybe it's wishful thinking here. But but at the end of the day, it's going to be probably, if we're on this at best third place, I'd be very happy with third place for the record. I think that would be a great achievement. Maybe somehow we'll get a result. To be honest with you, even if we get one kind of win or draw, even that will be good, because we're against proper teams here. Unfortunately, we don't get teams like that in Ukraine, so this is a whole new different level for the players, and it's going to be great experience for them too as well, and money for the club, like you said. But we're just going to have to wait and see. Whatever will be, it will be.
Okay, awesome. That's really well put for Dynamo Kyiv. Let's shift our focus to Barcelona, and they've, as I mentioned, they've already been in a nightmare position for the better part of the last two months during the transfer window. The Barcelona have let go Messi to PSG. Obviously, still their financial resources are pretty limited. Their debt is almost 1.3 billion euros. I don't know the atmosphere in the locker room. I think it's okay. It's not very solid. If I may say that, and there's a lot of negative energy that's been thrown around at Barcelona. I feel like Messi's replacement is now 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗏. If I've seen the last 3 games in their La Liga campaign that I've followed them, everything is just flowing through 𝗕𝗏𝗍𝗏, and a lot of dependability will be on Memphis 𝗕𝗏𝗍. There is Coutinho as well, who can be a leader in the team, but I'm not seeing any kind of leadership from him. He's not that player that they got him from Liverpool. I think he needs his confidence back to get back to his strengths. And what do I say about Koeman? Ronald Koeman is, I'm I'm not really a big fan of him. I think he's not done a really good job. I think at Barcelona as well last season. I think he tried to get something from the team last season, and he almost had the chance to win the La Liga last season as well. But then he blew it in the last few games. What do we think in terms for Barcelona, that can they actually go and survive in this group, or are we thinking that they might have that drop and someone like a Benfica or Dynamo Kyiv can just have an upset against them? Are we thinking that?
Well, it really depends on the momentum that they have. Like I said before, I've seen a couple of matches for Barcelona in the league, in La Liga, and they've been good at some of the part of the games, but most of the games you can see the vulnerability of their defense and their lack of, I don't know if it's empathy between all of them, the lack of attack, the lack of will that they have. I was hoping to see a Barcelona team to come more united after the whole Messi fiasco that they had. But unfortunately for them, I haven't seen that yet. I do agree that they have talent. Memphis Depay, players like Frenkie de Jong, players like Serginho Dest are very good players, and they can make a difference in a match against Benfica, Dynamo, or Bayern. But I do believe that if the other teams play to their strengths, they can make Barcelona's life very complicated. And they don't have a good calendar, if you ask me, because let's say, for example, and hopefully that will happen, they will lose against Bayern on Tuesday, and then I think they have to go to Dynamo. I think they have to go to Ukraine, if I'm not mistaken, or
yes.
maybe, and then that's a difficult stadium to visit. That's difficult condition, and Barcelona away hasn't been a good example on the last Champions Leagues. So imagine if they don't collect at least 3 points in the next 2 games, that could pile up the pressure. I do believe that in the end they are going to qualify to the next round. But I see them in a rebuilding phase, and I am pretty sure that their directives and even their fans know that this season might be a one for transition, so that they can, collect some money from sales, and maybe next season, really compete in the highest level in the Champions League. And just to add something about Coutinho that you mentioned, he was a very good player for us when we won the Champions League in 2020, but he wasn't a leader in Bayern, and he was a very good backup player. The starters were Gnabry and Kingsley Coman, or even Ivan Perisic. Ivan Perisic was the starter before Coman took his place in the final. But Coutinho was a very good backup player, but a very expensive one as well. And just to put it into perspective, Coutinho was earning more in Barcelona than what Robert Lewandowski is winning at Bayern Munich. That tells you everything.
Okay, that's well put for Barcelona, and that, as I was mentioning it, and Cristiano, I think Cristiano Oliveira.
What's up, boys?
I'm pronouncing it. Yeah. He's the Benfica fan that we were having for the podcast. So yeah, and we left the Benfica part up to the last. I'm so glad, Cristiano, that you were able to make some time for our podcast. Welcome. Even though it's late, but
my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on.
So yeah, we just got their perspectives about Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Dynamo from the group. Let's get a little bit perspective about Benfica. Again, I've not had the real chance to follow Benfica a lot from their league campaign, but I do follow them in their Europa League campaigns and Champions League campaigns. They've been very, just to get a little bit more from Benfica, is the Portuguese champions have a really good, interesting team, really good offensive potential. I was able to actually watch the qualifying game that they played against PSV, and really good game. I think they had to go through hell against PSV in the playoffs. They kept a 1-goal advantage from the first leg and surviving to reach the group stage. Their Darwin Núñez, 𝗵𝗲𝗪, there's a Ukrainian striker, 𝗕𝗲𝗪. I'm sure Adima, you must know him, who came from Ghent. They all promise many goals in the team. They have an experienced defense. They have pro veterans in their teams who play at a very high level throughout their entire careers. They make Benfica really competitive, and I remember the game last season as well when they played against Arsenal in the Europa League. That game was also really tight, and obviously they had to bow out in the round of 32. But that game was super interesting.
I just wanted to jump in real quick and correct. So I don't know if maybe I misheard you, I misunderstood you, but could have sworn you said the Portuguese champions, and that's not the case. Benfica finished in third place, unfortunately, last season. Sporting were the champ first time in 19 years. Porto finished in second, hence why we had to play the playoff game against PSV. So exactly, I just wanted to clarify that, because if we were champions, we'd be in pot 1, as opposed to be playing the likes of Barcelona and no disrespect to Kyiv and Bayern Munich. So just want to clear that up.
Yeah, no. I was just talking in terms of like they have been Portuguese champions in the past. But yeah, this year obviously it was Sporting Lisbon who won the title. But yeah, what are we expecting? Can I asked the same question because Barcelona and Bayern Munich are in the group, but can Benfica cause some kind of an upset to Barcelona? I'm not expecting anything to Bayern, but Barcelona, I can see one result when they come to Benfica, and talking about Barcelona, they can win. What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, if there's ever a time you want to play Barcelona, I would say right now is that time, especially with all the departures. So, again, I'm not here to talk about Barcelona, but we get to see what we're going to get out of them, and it's kind of a similar situation with Benfica. Benfica invested a boatload of money last season, over 100 million in their new acquisitions. Unfortunately, they bowed out in the Champions League playoff against PAOK on a one-legged affair. They went out to Greece, and I think, to their surprise and a lot of soccer fans around the world, PAOK shocked Benfica. We all know, or at least I would like to think, that had we played a second leg, that Benfica would have been able to turn the score around and won pretty easily at home. But that was not the case. Benfica came off the starting gates last season, playing pretty well, consecutive victories to start the season. All of a sudden, the wheels fell off the wagon, and it was just an atrocious season last year. Now, they've invested a little bit more money here. They brought back a lot of players, the likes of Jetson from Galatasaray, who's on loan. We brought back Ferro from Valencia, brought back some key players that we had loaned out, a lot of youngsters. We brought them back to strengthen the rest of the squad. Brought up the aforementioned 𝗵𝗡𝗪, who I think to do spectacular in the box. Outside the box, he leaves a lot to be desired at times. Still, as far as myself, don't know a lot about him yet. I mean, it's early on. But in the box, the dude, just a special player. Just yesterday, Benfica went out to Açores and beat Santa Clara 5-0. Got a nice little touch in the box inside the 6, tucked it away 5-0. I mean, he's just at least in my book, he's a spectacular finisher. So we expect a lot out of him. You mentioned Darwin Núñez, who scored 2 goals yesterday. Player that, for those of you that know, he's most expensive player in the history of Portuguese football. Most expensive acquisition. Tons of pressure on him. Got hurt towards the end of last year. Needed to get his knee scoped out. Missed early part of the season here. Missed the preseason, but now he came back yesterday. Got his first start. Got 2 goals. So hopefully his confidence will build from there. But a lot of interesting players. Benfica brought in João Mário from Inter Milan, a guy with a lot of international experience. His career and his stint at Inter Milan didn't exactly go the way you would hope. But you know what? He's doing well at Benfica. He's exactly what we needed. That 8, the guy that was able to get the ball, link up play up front, be able to do the defensive responsibilities. 𝗕𝗲𝗪, I think he's just a world-class talent. But as far as 11 aside, I don't know if he's the best player to put in that responsible position in the midfield. But again, Benfica, I thought they did a good job in reinforcing their squad. They brought in Lázaro as well, from Valentino Lázaro from Inter Milan. Brought in in all it's been like 10 players. So tying it all back up. Still early on. Benfica has gone 5 for 5, top of the league in the Portuguese league. Tremendous expectations on this team. Tremendous expectation on 𝗕𝗲𝗧𝗘, who we scooped up from Flamengo, who had the tremendous run at Flamengo with the 𝗂𝗽𝗱𝗁 Libertadores and the Brasileirão. So it's just the expectations at 𝗲𝗲 are through the roof. But we've seen this whole thing come to a crash last year, so we're trying to pump our brakes. But nonetheless, it's been an interesting start. Benfica's won every single game that they played this season, with the exception of the draw in PSV in Holland. So, which that was good enough. That was a victory. I mean, look, that was good enough to qualify us for the Champions League. So this is where this club deserves to be. This is where us as Benfica fans think the club should be. We should always be amongst the big boys in the Champions League. Now, it's unfortunate we got the big boys in Bayern Munich and Barcelona up front. But as I mentioned before, if there's every time you want to play Barcelona, it's now. Dynamo, we'll see what happens. I think it's the same thing with Benfica. You know, they could surprise, but obviously the two big boys up top are the favorites. So there's no pressure on our two clubs to come in there and surprise anybody. So that's where we're at right now.
Awesome. I think that's really great. Well put. And we have a Benfica update on for the Champions League. Let's do quickly predictions. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are we thinking?
Start with me. Who started with me?
Yeah,
well,
let's go with you.
Look, all right, I'll start. I'm the last one in, but I'll be the first one to dive right in. Bayern, obviously, no. Look, the odds-on favorite. I mean, they should demolish everyone in this group, my opinion. So I expect it to come out of this group first, and then Barcelona, they're the wild card. What are we going to get out of Barcelona? What team are we going to get? I know Memphis Depay come in and he started well, and he's scoring goals. I mean, but let's call a spade a spade. He's not Lionel Messi, is he, Felipe? I mean, you know. So, you know, it's all fun and games until the things really start to matter. The pressure's on them. So we'll see what happens. But I think Benfica has an opportunity, or has the ability, I should say, to shock a Barcelona. I don't want to come out here and predict that Benfica is going to beat a Barcelona, but as I think I've said it 20 times. This is the time you want to play Barcelona, when they're on the rebound. You know, they're kind of going through their own turmoil. So this is the time that we could catch them napping. And then Dynamo, obviously, Benfica starts off against Dynamo. It's imperative that they get those 3 points. And then, you know, you play Barcelona, then you play the sandwich in the middle, the Bayern game. That could be disastrous. I mean, you know what I mean? They can really, like, you know, really put a hurting into us. I hope that's not the case. I do think Benfica has the coaching staff. They do have the players that they could at least represent themselves. Going to Bayern is going to be difficult, but at home at the 𝗲𝗲 with the tremendous fans following them and supporting them, there's a reason why we can't pull off a draw against those two giants at home and then finish off the group stage, going to Kyiv and hopefully sealing our surprise second place in the group. So that's what I'm hoping for. But most likely it's going to be Barcelona. I mean, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Benfica, and Dynamo. Sorry, Dima. My bad.
Felipe, for you?
I tend to agree as well. I think that if we play to our full potential, we should be the first one in the group. Of course, Bayern does have their off days, and we do we have lost points against teams that we weren't supposed to lose points against. I think it's curious that we are going to start with Barcelona the first match over there, which is supposedly to be our toughest game on the group, you know, visiting Barcelona. And in regards to Benfica or Dynamo, you know, if we based on the last couple of years, I would agree that Benfica should be third place. But I think that the one that wins the first match day is going to be the one that ends up on the third place. You know, if Dynamo wins, it is going to be very difficult then for Benfica to come back, especially because Dynamo is going to have, you know, that momentum and might, you know, translate that into a victory then against Barcelona on the second match day. Yeah. Or, when they face them. But if you ask me right now, I agree. Bayern, Barcelona, Benfica, and Dynamo.
Okay, Dima.
Yeah, listen, I think for sure most people would agree that before the game starts, before a single game is played, most people would say it's going to be from top to bottom Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Benfica, Dynamo Kyiv. That's just the way it is.
Okay.
From a Dynamo point of view, listen, it's been said so many times on this podcast already, you know, but Barcelona, if there's a time to play Barcelona, it's now. That's true. They're not what they once were, you know, with the absence of Lionel Messi. Well, Dynamo Kyiv is certainly not what they once were. You know, Bayern Munich, I'd be pretty surprised if we took points off them. You know, it seemed like a well-oiled machine, always have done, always an impressive team. Benfica, you know, have only failed to win once, and that was a draw, and they still went through this season. But last season, you know, a few questionable results. And from a Dynamo point of view, I hope maybe it could translate over to this season. Now, listen, obviously, I hope that we'll be able to make some kind of upset against any team. On paper, yeah, there's a chance that we can, you know, make an upset, but with the quality of this team, I'm not confident in saying that, you know what, I don't know who it's going to be against. I don't know when it will be, but we're going to make an upset. I'm not confident. It might happen, but don't hold my word for it. But yeah, for me, Bayern, Barcelona, Benfica, Dynamo. But I hope that we, of course, make Europa League somehow. Well, of course, I hope we make the knockout stages, but that would be a miracle with the squad we have compared to the other teams. But yeah.
I think I'm with Christian. I think I'm gonna say Bayern, Benfica, Barcelona, and then Dynamo. Yeah, I'm really not very confident in Barcelona, and the way that I've seen at least Benfica play, I think they can cause an upset. And again, like as you know, Felipe mentioned earlier in the podcast, there was a really good point about traveling to Ukraine and traveling to Portugal. It's not going to be as last season, where you're just going to play empty stadiums. There are going to be fans. They're going to be cheering for their own teams, and it's going to be a hostile atmosphere. And I see Barcelona crumbling under that pressure. I can see. You can say that, you know, Barcelona might win against Benfica at home, but away I don't see any chance for Benfica. I think they have a really good team and they can cause an upset. So that's my bold prediction. I hope I don't know if I'll be right, but yeah, hopefully we're right, and we can see Benfica progress through to the Champions League quarterfinal, to the round of 16. That being said,
I mean, it'd be a whole lot of fun. It'd be a whole lot of fun to see us finally do some damage in the group stage. We've not, you know, represented Portugal. We've not represented ourselves well in the Champions League over the last couple of seasons. So again, you have those two giants, but Benfica do have the players. They do have the experience. They have the coaching staff. These guys have all been around the block once or twice, a bunch of internationals. So could they pull off an upset? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not talking about, you know, coming out in first place and slapping Bayern Munich around. Nothing like that, ladies and gentlemen. But I do think we have enough to, you know, to get a draw at home. And then things get interesting when you go on the road. And as Dima said, that last game, Benfica Dynamo Kyiv, if these guys are fighting for that Europa League spot, I mean, that game could be crucial as well. But right now, I think as a Benfiquista, I'm hoping and praying and putting all my eggs in one basket that we're able to stay and somehow find a way to get out of this group stage, because that Europa League, we played well in it. We've gone to 2 finals in the last 2 years, yada, yada. We didn't win it. Unfortunately, we still got that 𝗕𝗲𝗓𝗏 curse surrounding us, but that's another conversation for another podcast. But, you know, hoping and praying that Benfica do find a way to shock everybody, because we do have the players. We have the ability and the experience on that roster. So things will be interesting.
Yeah. You know, that's well said. And before we actually end, please do make sure that you follow each one of our panelists' podcasts as well. We leave the links in the description below. They have amazing content on Benfica and even Ukraine for Dima. And I think, Felipe, you also do a podcast as well for Bayern Munich. So do check out their content if you're interested in Ukrainian, Portugal, and you know, Bavarian football. Great content on there. And also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Late Winner Show as well. I think you get great content here. You have we just did a Champions League preview on Benfica, Barcelona, and Kyiv. Dynamo Kyiv, and I think there was a great discussion, guys. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your thoughts on that.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, awesome. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Champions League campaign, and I hope to see you, again on the future in our podcast to talk about the round of 16, maybe if some of our teams go through. So yeah.
Good luck to your guys' teams domestically in Europe. I'll refrain a little bit.
Okay, awesome. All right, thank you guys. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.